Welcome to Arkansas, where the hills are green and the streams are so clear, they nicknamed it the natural state. Feature this: about a third of Arkansas is public land. That means we've got a lot of hills and mountains and streams and waterfalls to explore. The camping's gonna be great in a place they call the natural state.
Our first stop is northwest of Little Rock at Petit Jean State Park. It's located on top of Petit Jean Mountain and is one of Arkansas's most popular state parks. The campground is huge and most sites are out in the open. Just a few are surrounded by trees. I was lucky to snag this one. There's a lot to do at the park. The main reason we're here is to videotape two different waterfalls. Neither one will be easy to get to, so a solid dinner and a good night's sleep are important. Caution, this trail is strenuous. If you have health problems, you're advised not to take this trail. That's because we're headed to the bottom of Cedar Creek Falls. The trail switchbacks down the mountainside while a tumbling stream provides background music. Cedar Falls Trail is 2¼ miles round trip. With all the switchbacks, it's a little over half a mile hike to the bottom of Cedar Creek Canyon. Drainage from the bowl-shaped Petit Jean Mountain carved the steep canyon over millions of years. The trail bottoms out and crosses Cedar Creek. The falls are another half-mile up creek. In the past, Cedar Creek flowed in basically the same channel it occupies today, but the water level has been up to 400 feet higher than at present. Cedar Falls formed on the west side of the mountain. The falls flowed over thicker sandstone caprock of the mountain onto thinner sandstone and shales that formed the slope and valley. The shale layers were more easily eroded. As shale eroded from the base of the falls, the overlying sandstone was left unsupported. The sandstone eventually fell into the stream bottom. Today the falls drops 95 feet. Just over halfway down the falls, you can see where the rock gets darker. That's the easily eroded shale formation. It was time to climb back up the mountainside and out of Cedar Creek Canyon. This is the strenuous part of the hike the red sign warned us about. The slow pace going up allows one to notice the surroundings more. In particular, the blossoming dogwood trees. The Seven Hollows Trail is marked by blue blazes on trees. The trail is a loop that is 4.2 miles round trip. It goes through hollows between rock bluffs and also climbs to the top of some bluffs. A heat wave had blown into Arkansas. The temperature was going to get in the mid-90s, so I brought plenty of drinking water. Not only was it hot, it was intensely humid. Before long, I was soaked in sweat. I didn't regret wearing long pants, though. Springtime is prime time for ticks, chiggers, and spiders. As a deterrent, I spray insect repellent on my bare legs and socks. I also spray my pants and boots. After returning to camp, I inspect myself closely for ticks. I usually find one or two. The spur trail, marked by two blue blazes, leads up to the grotto. The grotto, along with a natural bridge on the trail, are the two highlights of the hike. It's well worth climbing an extra couple hundred yards to experience a special place. Haw Creek Falls is much easier to see. It's located northeast of Clarksville, off the beaten path, in the Ozark National Forest. The campground consists of 9 primitive campsites, no running water, no electricity, just an outhouse and some garbage cans, and oh yeah, a waterfall less than a minute's walk from the campsite. Recent rains made the creek water murkier than usual. The rain had also left the campground pretty muddy, so let's just hang here a while. Mount Magazine State Park lies on top of Arkansas's tallest mountain. At over 2,700 feet, it's Arkansas high country at its best. The park has a small campground, and it's hard to get a campsite. Luckily, they have overflow camping available at a picnic area. This was more my style anyway. The leaves were just budding, so it was a good time to be here for unblocked views. Except there was a thick haze that filled the valley. It consisted of humidity, tree pollen, and smoke from a controlled burn being executed below by the Forest Service. Things weren't going to be clearing up anytime soon. The Signal Hill Trail was a short walk from my campsite. It leads to the highest point in Arkansas. I came back to Magazine Mountain a few weeks later. The air had cleared up and the high country experience had vastly improved. The temperature was cooler up here, and there is a trail with a danger sign right by my campsite. Hey, does it get any better than this? The red sign was right. The cliffs are there, but only dangerous if you get too close. For adventurous souls, hang gliding and rock climbing are two extreme sports happening at the park. These activities take place on the other side of the mountain. I was going to take off hang gliding from here, but then I remembered I didn't have a hang glider. There's a series of interconnected trails that cover the forested mountaintop. Every now and then, a good mountain view appears through an opening in the trees. Up in the northernmost section of the Ozark National Forest is my favorite place to camp in the natural state. A short distance from the famous Blanchard Springs recreation area is the Gunner Pool Campground. The windy gravel road takes you down into a canyon and all the way to the bottom. $7 can buy you peace of mind in a way you will soon understand. Gunner Pool, conceived by a man-made dam, is filled by an underground spring. The spring water spills into Sylamore Creek. Ah, Sylamore Creek, one of the fabled Ozark streams of Ozark lore. Spring-fed, crystal clear, and pretty chilly. There are a number of good campsites here. This one has a view of the small lake and the spillover. The water is loud. I like this site when the park is crowded. The water noise does a good job of drowning out all the people noise. My favorite campsite is down on Sylamore Creek. There's a tent pad, fire ring, and picnic table on a 12-foot rise above the water. Behind the creek are painted limestone bluffs. The ripple of the creek provides a gentler mantra than the Gunner Pool spillover. I've camped here many times through the years. I always leave a different person than the guy who came. Henry David Thoreau had his Walden Pond. The happy camper has his Sylamore Creek. The Sylamore Creek Trail is one of the most scenic in Arkansas. Tomorrow we'll do some hiking on it. See you in the morning. The Sylamore Creek Trail is 13.7 miles one way. This map shows about 9 miles of it. From the middle of the map, we'll hike up creek. About 1.5 miles in, the trail towers over the creek for almost a mile. It's one of the most scenic sections of the trail. From the campground, the trail starts climbing steadily uphill. Today's hiking tip is to be very aware of your immediate surroundings. This garden snake serves as a gentle reminder to watch where you put your feet and hands. After following the hilltop for a while, the trail comes to a magical opening in a bluff line. Frost wedging probably caused the bluff to separate. It occurs when water seeps into rock cracks. During freezing temperatures, the water expands as it becomes ice, thus breaking apart the rock. Once through the opening, the trail continues at the base of the bluff, about 200 feet above the sparkling water of Sycamore Creek. Mental focus is the key on this part of the trail. The possibility of slipping and falling over a loose rock would be one reason why. Eventually, the trail breaks away from the bluffs. This looked like a good place to eat lunch before heading back to camp. Boy, campfires sure are relaxing. And so is the sound of the Ozark Mountain stream in the background. One of the big benefits of camping here is I sleep like a baby. The amazing Blanchard Springs Caverns are a short drive from Gunner Pool Campground. The opening at the top of this shot is ground level. The first recorded explorers of the cave entered there in the 1930s. The first systematic exploration began in 1955. In a short time, explorers discovered a 1,000-year-old Native American skeleton. We're now in an active cave where crystalline formations like stalactites and stalagmites are still changing. These crystalline formations are the result of minerals deposited by dripping acidic rainwater. It percolates down through the rock and into the cave. The soda straws at the top grow from the ceiling as water runs down them and deposits calcite at their tips. They continue to grow into larger icicle shapes called stalactites. Stalagmites rise from the floor when dripping water deposits minerals. Many factors determine the shape that formations will take. How the acidic water enters the cave, by dripping, flowing, or seeping, and how it flows or stands after entering are two factors. Formations will continue to grow as long as groundwater enters the cave. The caverns themselves were eroded by an underground river that dropped to a lower level, leaving the cave high and dry. When a stalactite and a stalagmite meet midway, they form a column. Or one or the other may grow all the way to the floor or ceiling, forming a column. The overall lighting is good, although limited to small places within the massive cave. Areas not directly lit quickly become too dark for the camera's eye. In the large, dimly lit rooms, I couldn't pick much up until I switched to the night vision function on my camera. The image was grainy, but colors and formations came to life. It was a different world. Reminded me of the comic books and sci-fi movies of my youth. Only this was real and way better. The highlight of the Discovery Trail is the giant flowstones. A flowstone forms when considerable water flows down walls, building up sheets of calcite like icing on a cake. Blanchard Springs flows through the caverns, then surfaces above ground at the bottom of the bluff. The water eventually ends up in Sylamore Creek. Living's good on Sylamore Creek. Sometimes in life, the simple pleasures are the best. And one of the best pleasures in life is slogging up and down an Ozark stream. The pristine water is in part the result of smart, protective management by the Forest Service. After all, clear water is important, especially when it comes to spotting snakes. Thoreau said, "Time is but the stream I go a-fishing in. Its thin current slides away, but eternity remains." Protected and well managed, Sylamore Creek should remain sparkling clean for eternity. That makes me a happy camper.